Hey, what's going on, guys? It's TrackYT here, and I'm back with another brand new video, guys. Today, you've already seen a time lapse to start off today's video, and today's video is actually about what you more or less saw in the time lapse. What you saw in the time lapse was a Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency, and today I just want to talk about my experience with investing in different things in my short time here on Earth. We're just going to play a parkour map that I built a year or so ago in the background, just so it gives me something to do while I talk about the various things in my life that I have invested in, so that way you guys can more or less learn from my experiences to hopefully better your life. So I don't know pretty much the age of most of you guys. I'm assuming some of you guys are on the younger side of things, and at the same time, more or less, there could be a lot of older people out there. I have no idea. But I thought that investing like your money in things, especially at a younger age, can potentially be a really good thing. And I wanted to basically give you guys my experiences with the different things that I have invested in my short time. I am 21 years old, and I've more or less been investing in things for about, I would say, a year and a half to 2 years. So I have some experience, and what's funny about that is only just now recently, in like the last 6 months, have I really started to more or less understand what I'm doing. Now, just as a caveat, in no way, shape, or form is this advice, like, I guess, credible. This is just my personal experience and stuff like that I thought would be a fun video idea. So don't go and make financial decisions based off of the information that I'm about to give you in this video, because odds are you probably will lose your money. So I started my investing with cryptocurrency. Now, for those of you that don't know what cryptocurrency is, it is basically, I would say, virtual money in a way. So I guess the best way to compare cryptocurrency to something other than cryptocurrency is probably the stock market. Now, the reason I say compare it to the stock market is so cryptocurrency is compared to stock market because a stock market, you basically buy shares of a company and there's like only a limited amount of shares that are, I guess, out there. So if there's less shares out there, and there's more demand, therefore the price of the shares go up because more people want it and there's less of it. So it's basic supply and demand. So in that regard, cryptocurrency has a similar effect, more or less, because cryptocurrency, there's only X amount of shares for each cryptocurrency. So you could theoretically have a cryptocurrency that only issues, like, let's say 100,000 shares, and let's say 5-10 million people want those shares are going to be a lot more valuable versus I guess a cryptocurrency, let's say, that issues 100 million shares. So there's a big gap between that. So when I started cryptocurrency, it was during that pretty much explosive trend when cryptocurrency was all over the mainstream media. So when I first got into cryptocurrency and or investing, I only started with a small amount of money because, well, I don't have a lot of money or didn't have a lot of money to really put any serious money down to invest. And at the same time, I was learning and kind of experimenting, so I didn't want to invest a large amount of money, and just in case I had no idea what I was doing and I lost it all. So I only started with $50. And what was interesting about the cryptocurrency, I guess, boom in a way, is that when cryptocurrency was on its rise, pretty much you literally couldn't lose in cryptocurrency because every single cryptocurrency was going up because the mainstream media was pretty much just giving it the most amount of publicity it could possibly get. So therefore, every cryptocurrency was going up at the same time. So theoretically, if you lost money doing cryptocurrency in that era, you were just bad at investing. You probably should stray away from it. But I was able to take that $50 and turn it into $100 in relatively a small amount of time because cryptocurrency was just doing so well. So I basically turned a profit within like 2 weeks. I turned $50. That's 100% profit in 2 weeks. That's not something that normally happens in cryptocurrency. And in my case, that was like not good for me because it kind of taught me something that isn't typical in investing. Like, I thought that's how it's going to be. Every 2 weeks I could double my money, and that's not the case. That's like, I guess, lesson number one is you can't turn, typically speaking, you cannot turn investing or turn money around in 2 weeks, double it every single time. Now, there is some ways to do that if you're very, very smart, but on average, you're not going to just invest in a company and then the next day or 2 days later, it's going to be double what it was worth. So I was able to then take that $100 and I actually added another amount of money to it. I added, I think it was $300 or $400 more to the $100 that I now had. So I had a total of $500 in cryptocurrency. And this is because I honestly thought that I could make a bunch more money by having more money invested. Now, the only reason I put more money in is because I turned that money around so fast. I thought, hey, if I put $500 in, I can bring it up to $1,000 here in the next 2 weeks because I just did it with that $50 that I originally invested. Now, that is no way in the case of what actually happened, but it is in a way. So I was still very much in the boom of cryptocurrency. So everything was still going straight up to the sky. Like, everything was still going up. So I invested in this cryptocurrency called ARN. I don't actually know what it stands for. I just found a cool cryptocurrency and was like, I'm going to invest in that one. So I put literally all $500 that I had invested in cryptocurrency into a single cryptocurrency. Now, this is, I guess, lesson number 2 when it comes to investing. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is don't put every single penny that you have invested in something into one thing. So don't put it all into one stock, and don't put it all into one cryptocurrency. Don't put it all into like one investment property. Like, diversify your portfolio, because if one thing tanks, then you lost. But if you have all of your money spread across maybe like 10, 15 different things, if one goes down, it only hurts part of your thing. It doesn't take out all of the money you have invested. But regardless, I was able to take that $500, and in what seemed like probably like maybe a month or so, I was able to turn that into $2,500. And me being the smart guy that I am, being the noob investor, can you guess what I did? Before you even guess, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. I left the money in there. I should have taken my money out as soon as I crossed $2,000. Actually, I should have taken it out as soon as I crossed $1,000, as soon as I doubled it, but I didn't. I left it in there because I thought, you know what? It's gone this far. There's no way that it's gonna go back down. So I basically left it in there and kind of forgot about it. And then there was one day, I don't even know the exact day, but pretty much most of the cryptocurrency markets just tanked. And I still had all of my money tied up in this one cryptocurrency that ended up tanking along with the rest of all of the cryptocurrencies. And now when I say tanked, it only went from about $2,500 to about $1,000, which is a lot of a decrease, but I was still up money because remember, I only put $500 in to begin with. So my thought was, well, this is just, it's basically the market readjusting. There's no way that it's gonna go down even any further, you know, it's just gonna go back up because, you know, people sold all their stuff, but then more people are going to buy and it's going to go right back up to where it was. And I was wrong. That money continued to go down, and it kept going down, and it kept going down, and it got to the point where it was now sitting at about $500, the amount of money that I was in, and I still thought, you know what? It's going to go back up. Let me leave it in there. So to make a long story short, the money kept going down even after $500. It actually went all the way down to as low as $150. So now we have lost money. We had, let's say, so we originally put in $50, then we put, I think, $400 more into it. So we have had an investment of a total $450, and now our current rate is sitting at $150. So that means that we lost $300. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave the money in there for as long as it needs to stay in there for it to go back up. And that's still where I am sitting with cryptocurrency. I pretty much gave up on cryptocurrency and was like, you know what? I don't know why I went into this, but it was a lesson I learned, and it was a lesson that was more or less kind of important to learn because it really taught me the idea that if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So I pretty much took a break from doing any form of investing. I just left my, I guess, $150 now in cryptocurrency, decided that I would just continue to save all of the money that I could. Like, I just figured, you know what, at this time, I think I was probably 19 years old. I was like, you know what, someday I'm going to want to move out. I'm just going to go ahead and just stockpile as much money that I possibly can, working my job, into a savings account, and then just not touch it and do anything with it. So that's exactly what I did. I pretty much just saved up as much money that I possibly could into a savings account. I did this for about, I would say about another year to a year and a half. And I was still living at home at the time, so I didn't have any real expenses outside of my car payment and my car insurance, which weren't that much money a month, considering that those were my only expenses per month. So I didn't have to worry about paying for too much else other than those two things. So I was able to save more or less like $1,000 every month and just put it straight into a savings account and not really worry about it. Pretty much just stockpile my savings account and pretty much just set myself up for success for the future. And this is when I got to the point where at work, actually, some people at my work told me about this app called Robinhood. And now this is not a paid product placement for Robinhood, but it is the app that I actually now use to invest in the stock market. And you're probably thinking, oh God, Nick, don't invest anymore. You've already lost $300 on cryptocurrency. Don't even try to get into the stock market. So I decided to do it anyways. I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna get back into investing. You know I had a bad run with cryptocurrency, but I think that the stock market, it's been around for so long, I think there's no way that I can't at least find a little bit success. And at this point, I realized that I should definitely be prepared not to make any sort of real money doing it, just kind of like learn the ropes of investing in the stock market, because I think pretty much all I've ever heard all my life is that the people that make a lot of money in life and that retire with millions of dollars, they play in the stock market. So I figured, you know what, this is probably something that I should get into. So again, I started with a small amount of money that I was willing to lose. And this is, I guess, number 3 or 4 things that I would strongly suggest doing, that if you ever want to get into any form of investing, basically treat it as gambling in a way. Basically treat it as you don't think you're going to get back the money that you're putting in, or at least at the beginning when you're learning. Don't expect to make a bunch of money because, well, you should probably learn the thing that you're doing first. So I only started with like, I think $100 or something like that, because at this point I had saved up a decent amount of money. So $100 wasn't, it was something that I was willing to lose. It wasn't something that I was like, oh no, I'm short $100, which, you know, could sound bad. But to be honest with you, at the time, I wasn't really worried too much about losing $100. So that's what I put in. I thought that's something that I could make some money with it, but at the same time, I wouldn't be upset if it went to zero. So investing in the stock market, I didn't have anywhere near the same success that I did initially, like I did on cryptocurrency. I did have some success, but it wasn't like to the same magnitude. I wasn't doubling my money in 2 weeks, which is actually a good thing because it kind of like taught me, you know, I guess the reality of investing. It's pretty much percentages versus like doubling your money. Like you're going to make 10% versus you're going to make 100%. Like it's, so if you put $100 in, you could make $10 over a span of like a month. Like it's a very, I guess, slow growth depending on the amount of money that you have invested, which I was fine with. And it was something that I wanted to, I guess, more or less learn, because as I grew and gained more money, I could invest more money into stocks and then grow at a much more rapid rate. So I initially started with $100. I was able to make like, I think literally I made like $10. I made it to $110. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more money in there because I don't think $100 is going to make me that much money. So remember, at this time, I had now saved up several $1,000s. So I figured, you know what? I don't think I'm going to lose $1,000 because I don't think the stock market's going to crash anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be the same volatility that was in cryptocurrency. I figured, you know what I can do is I'll put $1,000 in there, and if I make 10% or I lose 10%, that's not that big of a deal to me. Like I'm, again, losing $100 or I'm gaining $100. Like I weighed those pros and cons, and I thought, you know what? I think I should just put $1,000 in there and kind of just test my luck and pretty much just mess around and kind of learn the ropes and kind of see what goes on in investing, like see what does well, kind of learn patterns more or less. And that's kind of what I started to do. So at first I was actually able to take that $1,000 and I did exactly what I said. I turned it into $1,100. I made 10% on my return, which is pretty dang good, to be honest with you. If you make a 10% return within like 2 months, like, in my opinion, that's not that bad, because let's say you keep doing that, it will eventually exponentially grow to a point where that maybe that $1,000, instead of making 10% over like a year, it's like, let's say for example, you make 10% on your return every 2 months and you do that for a full year. That means that after 2 months, now you have $1,100. And then if you make 10% on that in the next 2 months, then you make a little bit more than that. You make like $110. So you would have $1,200 or $1,210. So you're making money all around. So I figured, that's a much more achievable thing to do. It would make me a little bit of money, not money that I'm going to go out and spend. It's just money I'm going to continue to reinvest. So I kept doing that, and eventually I was like, you know what? I have a bunch of money saved up. I'm just going to start putting a lot more money into it. So I started putting a couple more thousands of dollars in there, and I won't tell you the exact amount just because I don't really feel like telling you how much money I have invested in the stock market. But it wasn't a small amount of money. It was like real money that if it went to zero, yeah, I would probably be a little bit upset, but I was confident in the fact that I didn't think that every single stock that I was invested in was going to go to zero, because I had learned my lesson from investing in cryptocurrency that I was going to go ahead and diversify my portfolio, so that way if one tanked, then I wasn't too worried, because I had all the other ones that maybe were going up at the same time. So I used that couple thousand of dollars to kind of start to learn trends and kind of just watch stocks and see which ones go up, kind of see some patterns. And what's great about the stock market and stocks that have been around for a long time is that they do have more or less a semi-predictable up and down. So you pretty much know that if something goes up really, really fast, it's probably going to go back down very, very fast, because it's a really big spike. But if something goes up gradual, odds are it's going to continue to go up gradual. It's not just going to peak down really fast unless there's something very negative that happens in the company. Because what's great about stocks is that you're investing in real companies. You're not investing in like fake untangible cryptocurrencies like you would be with cryptocurrency. So I was able to basically, again, like play around with it and kind of gain the ropes. And after about a year, so I'm coming up on my year of investing here, probably, I want to say it's next January is when I pretty much have a year invested in the stock market. Currently sitting at made about $500 on my overall investment of a couple $1,000s. I'm not going to tell you the exact amount, but I'm sitting at about a $500 increase in 1 year. And for me, that's great, because that's literally $500 that I now have, and I didn't actually even have to do anything to get that money other than using my money to make more money. And in my opinion, that's the whole point of the stock market, is to make money without having to physically go out and like work a job. You're just making money by putting your money to work. So I'm happy with that. After a year of investing, being up $500, like, I think the only way I can continue to grow is just making sure that I'm more or less learning smart investing strategies by not putting all of my money in one basket, and kind of diversifying and making sure that I invest in companies that aren't gonna tank. Because like, there are some companies that will tank overnight because, well, they're just really super volatile companies that really don't have any positive impact. They kind of just there, more or less, if you get what I'm saying. Like, for example, the pot companies, so marijuana stocks, they were a big thing at the beginning of, I guess, this year. They went up very, very fast because Canada legalized marijuana throughout the entire country. So all these marijuana companies started to grow up or go up really fast because there was so much demand for marijuana, and it got to the point where marijuana companies couldn't keep up with that supply, or with that demand with their supply. So the supply and demand was not an equal level. It was, I guess, uneven. So the demand was higher than supply, so therefore they weren't able to sell enough because they just didn't have enough. It took time to grow marijuana. So at first, all of those marijuana companies went up very, very fast because they had an IPOs, which is an initial public offering, and all of them went up really, really quick. but then they all went down really, really quick. And that was something that I actually learned the hard way as well, because I invested in a pot company because I saw it going up. And I guess I have this nature, which you guys should probably try to avoid, where I just see dollar signs and I get excited and I do not the smartest things with sometimes. Like I will put $1,000 into a pot company, and then that pot company turns around and I lose about $700 on that pot company. But at the same time, because I had my portfolio, I guess, diversified, I actually was able to grow my portfolio because I had other stocks that were going up. Like, for example, Tesla went up because I bought into Tesla. Nvidia, that also went up. So like I bought into these more stable and more, I guess, companies that made more sense, more or less, is what I'm trying to say. So I was able to have a return on my investment over the last 12 months, and that's pretty much it. So I know this video was kind of all over the place, and we really didn't get that far in our parkour map. We only got to like the second stage of the parkour map, but I just thought it'd be interesting to give you guys, I guess, a little bit of insight into what I do investing wise to make money outside of working a job. Because I do work a full-time job, I do YouTube for fun, I do make a little bit of money off of YouTube, not that much to be honest with you, but it is enough money where I can just put it in my savings account and then not have to really worry about it. So I just thought it'd be cool because I know there's some younger people out there that maybe they eventually want to invest in stuff themselves. And again, don't take financial advice from me, but I do think that you should definitely put money away for your future and then maybe use that money while it's sitting there to grow, basically put it into like a 401k, or if you want to, in my case, invest in the stock market on your own and turn that money into more money by just putting your money to work. So again, this is where we're going to bring today's video to a wrap. Moral of this story is that basically invest wisely and learn about the things that you're going to go and venture into before you just go fully into them, because odds are if you go in uneducated, you probably won't be as successful as somebody that's going in previously educated. But if you guys did enjoy this style of video, basically just me talking in, I guess, a commentary about something that's going on in my life, or just talking about something that doesn't relate to building in Minecraft, definitely let me know down below, because you know there's other things that I can talk about outside of building, because I do enjoy building in Minecraft, but I do also like trying to connect with you guys on a different level, especially now having the face cam. I think this adds a whole nother, I guess, dimension to my videos. So if you guys want me to do other videos like this, definitely let me know down below. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, also show your support down there. While you're on there, guys, might as well hit that subscribe button. But as always, guys, I love you all. See you guys next time. Peace out.